how did that help you maybe grow as a grade level lead teacher, to work with your colleagues that you work with all the time and lead them?
Yeah, so I think it gave me some insight on some really innovative ideas, um, things that normally maybe I wouldn't have come up with on my own by being collaborative with a group, that we all have the same goal. Um, I feel like being able to share ideas in that environment that is safe and supportive has been beneficial as well for all of us, not just me, but for all of us. Um, some of the ways that we kind of decided to stay focused in our actual meetings and making sure that we're achieving what we want to achieve is we decided to use some agendas
Okay.
to stay on track because we all have a lot going on. So you come into a meeting and you want to visit and chat, but the reality is we just don't have time for that. So we have to kind of zone in on particular things that we want to cover.
Right.
So an agenda we felt like was really helpful. And I think just making sure that we're all positive with each other, and making sure that it's a place that we feel like we can share and discuss and collaborate and have a respecting boundary and appreciation for one another.
Okay. So, you seeing us, when we had all of our meetings, you seeing me having an agenda there, and then everybody else, anybody that led our meetings, they came in with an agenda, and we tried our best to stick with that. So you feel like maybe that helped us to keep on track, to stay together, and do you feel like that probably helped us get more done in our meetings than just going in and having a grade level meeting, walking in and going, okay, so what's going on with everybody this week? We actually had things that we had to cover.
Absolutely. I felt like it was really imperative to our success. For us to cover what we wanted to cover, we really needed to have that agenda and stick with it as close as possible.
Right. Okay, so I'm kind of glad to see that's going to help, because I think looking at everything that goes on in our school or in any school, if that's something that you could gather from what we did, I think that's going to help. I think that'll help you, as far as I know that it's already been decided that you're going to still be lead teacher next year. There's only a few of y'all in that grade level, so you do a really good job of doing that. But if you pulled out of our big meeting something that could really help, maybe keep y'all focused and all that kind of thing, I'm glad to hear that an agenda helped that. So what about, let's see, what else do I need to ask you? What else do you think about that positive open communication? You talked about how you thought you kind of drew from that there needs to be that. I think a lot of teachers don't want to come into a meeting and they don't want to say anything because they're afraid it's going to come back on them. So you think that you fostering that to help give them a safe space basically to come in and talk. I think that's a good thing to come out of what we did. I feel like that it will help the environment of the whole school, our culture, everything. If the teachers think, oh, I have this safe place, I can come in here, and my lead teacher is not going to jump on me for having a different opinion. Yeah. Those kind of things. I like hearing that. We have also talked about a lot of things this past year about curriculum development and instruction and things like that. Did you maybe gather anything as far as something that might help improve our learning or anything from any of our meetings that would help the kids grow any better with that?
Well, I think, coming together as a lead teacher and helping kids learn as far as curriculum wise, I think just making sure that we are vertically aligned, that is first and foremost, making sure that we're vertically aligned, and being that that it's been something we've really worked on successfully, I feel like, making sure we're making that happen. I think that making sure we're using vocabulary that's relevant from year to year, that we can grow on from year to year. Because a lot of the vocabulary that we see that are very rigorous are introduced at different grade levels. But we can identify that, what grade level, and continue to build that every year, making sure we're all using that same vocabulary. I feel like that's one of the biggest curriculum things that we really looked at, is making sure that we're cohesive on using that terminology.
Okay.
Whether we are using word walls, hanging posters, making sure they're exposed to it from year to year.
Right.
I feel like that can make a really big difference on their understanding.
Yeah, I know
of the words.
In our meetings that we had, that was one of the things that we talked about for those PLCs, that all of those little things that you do in your classroom, if you're that only teacher for that grade level, then the PLCs are helping, because they can now see, okay, well, say second and third and fourth, if they meet, they can say, okay, well, this is going to build, and then fourth grade might have something that they're seeing that is a gap. I think that is part of that PLC that's going to really help with that. What about moving on into the future, next year, things going on? I really liked having this collaborative team, and I really liked how everybody worked well together, and we all came up with ideas, and we all just kind of bounced those off of each other. I've talked to some of the other members, or basically I think I've met with everybody but you. I think I finally got around to meeting with you. I received some very good constructive feedback from all the members of our team, and the things that they're telling me is really going to impact the way that I create my teams in the future. So I was going to kind of ask you too, since they were all giving me those suggestions, is there anything you might suggest for me as a leader to help me choose my teams moving forward, maybe to help promote that positive change in our culture of our campus? I think we're pretty positive now, but what else do you suggest that I might could do as a lead teacher, where you talk to the other teachers? What else do you think I might could do to help our campus grow some more when I'm creating those collaborative groups that I'm going to create?
So like when you're trying to decide on who's going to be on those teams, is that what you're talking about?
Yes. When I'm trying to decide.
Who are you? I think first and foremost, it's making sure that it's someone who is going to be able to get their point across in that positive way.
Right.
Making sure that someone's delivery is going to be something that's going to be accepted among a group.
Right.
It's got to be something that, again, you stick with your agenda and you get to the point, but your delivery has a lot to do with how people are going to receive you.
Yes.
So when you are talking about choosing teams, it needs to be someone that can lead in that positive connotation for everyone involved in the group.
Right.
I think if you don't have that, you're probably not going to have a successful group. You're going to have everybody shut down because nobody wants to listen.
Yes.
So I think that you did a really great job with that this year. I hope to see that to continue.
Okay.
I think another thing that you're looking at is whoever's going to be your leader is making sure that they, as a teacher, are bringing the best to their classroom every single day.
Okay.
Offering students rigorous work that is going to be real world as well as challenging, student-centered. It's teachers like that I feel like need to be leading your groups, because they're going to be the ones to make that positive change in the direction that the culture needs to go in.
Okay.
And I think lastly, I think sometimes it really gets overlooked too much, is we have to choose teachers that want students to be successful.
Yes.
If we're not doing that, we're not choosing the right leaders.
Right.
They have got to be on the student's side and wanting them to be successful. That promotes others to want to do that same thing.
Exactly.
If they are leading in a positive way.
Right. So what I'm hearing from you is that the people that I probably need to choose need to be positive people. They need to be able to lead in a way that promotes that positive attitude. Maybe not come in with an attitude of I'm over you and you're going to listen to me. Maybe they need to come in with, give me suggestions.
Yeah.
Let me help. are there any other people that you think might need to be in those groups other than maybe the LCs that we're trying to implement?
Okay, as far as the PLCs, we create a schedule at the end of every 6 week grading period. We have a half a day where the second, third, and fourth grade math teachers will meet. They follow a structured agenda, and it's focused on sharing ideas and peer-to-peer learning. And it's vertically aligned, so that way each teacher can see what the progression of their students, forwards and backwards. Like I said, it's structured, so we followed a strict agenda to keep it on time, and so it doesn't waste anybody's time and resources.
Okay, so all that sounds really good. Just keep working with them to make sure that they have a wonderful way of collaborating with each other, and that everything keeps improving. And I'll get back with each of you at the end. I'll ask you about any challenges that might have come up during these times, or anything that you think we might need to have a further discussion with teachers about. So we also did something with some small group time, and you went into the classrooms and kind of observed how they were doing that. So what are you seeing within the classroom?
Teachers have implemented the small group program that we've suggested. They use data-driven, targeted instruction to fill in gaps that they're seeing in the kids. Right now they're doing rotation stations where the teacher has a small group. She has another group working on IXL on their individual learning plans. And then another group has some task cards with manipulatives with activities for them to complete. They switch activities or switch stations every 15 minutes. And the teacher is getting her data from quizzes, curriculum-based assessments, as well as using exit tickets to determine how to set up the groups for the following week.
So how do you think that's working as far as her using that data to decide what groups she needs to switch in and out or change?
I've looked at the data with the teachers, and we are seeing improvements from week to week. And some kids need to stay in the same group. Others are able to rotate out, and she switches up the groups. So we are seeing improvements in their scores.
Okay, that sounds like that's working also. I'm also excited to do some walkthroughs because I want to go in and see all this in action. I want to make sure that I hear from the teachers about it. I have heard a few of them talking in the hallway, and they've said, that they're really liking doing the little rotations, and they think it's helping. I think that you're doing a pretty good job of facilitating those changes for us and encouraging the teachers. They've kind of bragged on you giving them a little help there.
And the kids are enjoying it as well.
That's good. I'm glad they are. I'm ready to go see that. Okay, so let's kind of switch gears a little bit after we've talked about what we've implemented. What about, what are you seeing on scores? I know we haven't had it started very long, but what have you seen on scores?
Well, as far as data, the beginning of year map scores, we saw there's room for improvement, but we're getting there. They're really enjoying, especially some of the things that we've implemented, and they're seeming to grow from them, like the exit tickets. The teachers are using the exit ticket for daily understanding, and so it helps them monitor their learning, helps the teacher monitor their learning, and so they have to have this to get out. And so they're like, okay, I'm ready to go now. So
right,
there's a little bit of hurry up in it, but they do like it. The quizzes, teachers are having weekly quizzes, and they're for data points to help drive instruction. There's unit tests. Students write down their unit test score in a folder to be aware of their progress. So that makes them aware of their own progress. It's something that the teacher monitors, but they do have to write down their own progress, so they're actually charting it. They can see, how this is helping or where they might need some more instruction.
Okay.
And then our CBAs, curriculum-based assessments. After looking at the data, the scores on the CBA are really encouraging. And I said we had room for improvement, but these are really, really encouraging since we've implemented all of these things. So overall, the data is moving up. We're not regressing, so it looks good.
All right, so it looks like everything's going in the right direction for us. Thank you all for updating us and giving us, we have our